when I think about a process of community engagement or decision making, really when you're thinking about leading organizations, it all comes down to decision making. Like, who makes decisions? Why are they making those decisions? Who do those decisions impact? What are outcomes that you're hoping for, and what are unintended outcomes? And so when I'm thinking through that, trying to figure out, like, what am I bringing to this? What's my elected board bringing to this? And then what gaps and blind spots do we have as we're making these decisions? And so for me, when and how I engage ThoughtExchange really is thinking about the stakeholders and the breadth, I guess, of groups that I need to connect with. And so if that's ever beyond being able to do that in a classroom with 30 people, or having the opportunity to just time and space where the group is not people that we regularly engage with, then I always start to think about, okay, well, then how does ThoughtExchange start to calibrate this decision that we're having to make? And so from that standpoint, I think ThoughtExchange has some great banks of questions and subject areas that you can kind of explore. Those always get my brain turning a little bit, right? Like, how did I do? Why was I approaching it this way? And why did I have this question in mind? And this question doesn't seem to fit to me in here. So what am I missing? Like, did somebody else ask this question? And so I just kind of go through that process and think about, like, my question. And, questions are the most important thing. Probably the most powerful thing I have as a leader is asking the right question, and then holding people accountable to that question. And so that's the most important part, I think, of using ThoughtExchange, is really refining that question. And then thinking through, like, what am I going to do with the information that people share? So whether it's using the annotation function or using the published report function, so that I can show the community that I heard you and what you shared with me is something that is important, right? And so sometimes I get too focused on the decision and the problem, I forget of looping back in there. So some of the functions of ThoughtExchange allow me to reconnect back, and this is what I heard. A lot of times I think people today say, well, you didn't hear me. And it's just because they didn't like the decision in the end. The decision wasn't aligned to what they thought it should be. And so using those tools kind of helps me reinforce again, like, listening doesn't mean that we always have to agree. Listening means that I heard you and we captured what you were thinking, and your thinking helped us get to the final decision. And so using those kinds of tools throughout the process, and then on the back end of the decision, to just reaffirm that you were a part of this decision, even though it wasn't exactly what you wanted, I think is really important.